Leo XIV delivered Mass this morning in Angola as part of an 11-day four-nation visit to Africa, promoting peace on the continent. He also spent part of the weekend attempting to turn down the rhetorical temperature after stunning recent attacks on the first American pontiff from the President of the United States, displeased with the Pope's criticism of the war in Iran. NBC's Sanchez has more in our Sunday Focus.
This week, Pope Leo traveling across Africa, greeting the faithful on a continent where the number of Catholics is rising faster than anywhere else on the planet. But what should have been a joyful trip overshadowed by the war with Iran, violence in Lebanon, and an escalating public standoff with President Trump. The Pope has been an outspoken critic of the war, not holding back after the president's threat to Iran that their whole civilization will die.
Attacks on civilian infrastructure is against international law, but that it is also a sign of the hatred, the division, the destruction the human being is capable of.
The president firing back in multiple media appearances this week.
I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo. The Pope has to understand Iran, very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
And then going even further, posting an image on social media portraying himself as a Jesus-like figure. Even the president's most ardent supporters outraged, writing, "God shall not be mocked," and "there's no context where this is acceptable." Mr. Trump later taking the image down, offering this explanation.
And I thought it was me as a doctor and had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support.
The Pope not backing down as he boarded the papal plane for Africa this week.
I have no fear of neither the Trump administration nor speaking out loudly about the message of the gospel. And that's what I believe I am called to do, what the church is called to do.
There's a long history of popes speaking out against war. In 1917, Benedict XV called the First World War a useless slaughter, while John XXIII spoke out against nuclear weapons, and John Paul II forcefully opposed the U.S. invasion of Iraq. President Trump and Pope Leo weren't always at odds.
To have the Pope from the United States of America, that's a great honor.
Meanwhile, Vice President J.D. Vance, who converted to Catholicism and met with the Pope in May, raised eyebrows this week with this comment.
In the same way that it's important for the Vice President of the United States to be careful when I talk about matters of public policy, I think it's very, very important for the Pope to be careful when he talks about matters of theology.
The Trump administration has repeatedly invoked Christian ideals as it justifies the war with Iran, casting it as a battle of good versus evil. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth calling on Americans to pray for victory and the safety of U.S. troops.
Please pray for them every day, on bended knee, with your family, in your schools, in your churches, in the name of Jesus Christ.
Pope Leo trying to turn down the temperature on Saturday, telling reporters his message of peace was written weeks ago.
It was looked at as if I was trying to debate, again, the president, which is not in my interest at all.
And Raf joins me now live. Raf, good morning. So Defense Secretary Hegseth was among those continuing to talk about the president in biblical terms this week. But both the Pope, as we just heard there, and later Vice President Vance have attempted to de-escalate a bit this weekend. So how is this all playing with Christians here in America?
So, Willie, as you know, Christians in general, but Catholics in particular, are a key voting bloc in the U.S. There are more than 50 million Catholics across the country, many of them in key battleground states like Pennsylvania. And polls do seem to suggest the president's support is slipping somewhat among them. He got 55% of the Catholic vote in 2024, but his approval rating among Catholics now is down to 49%. It's also worth saying that the Pope is just a less divisive figure in the U.S. than the president. You can see there more than half of Americans have a negative view of Mr. Trump compared to just 8% for Pope Leo. And Willie, we did hear the Pope trying to lower the temperature. Vice President Vance now responding in kind, saying yesterday he will be in our prayers, and I hope that we'll be in his. Willie?
The administration perhaps realizing a fight with the Pope is not good for them. Raf Sanchez, a great look at this. Thanks so much.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.